guys are making a sacrifice for being here. We do want to get you out here so you guys can get home to your families. So at this time, we're going to start with opening statements, and we will start from that end. And Andrew Adams.
Sure. So, Chief, thank you so much for putting this on. Everybody, thank you for coming. My name is Andrew Adams. I am a lifelong public servant. So, up until January 3rd, I was active duty in the Army. And I traveled across the Middle East. I've led hundreds of soldiers across the Middle East. I've worked with 6 different governments in 6 different countries. I've been to 20 different countries with my wife. I've seen what works. I've seen what doesn't work. I've seen countries with trash and burned cars all over the place. I've helped build Afghanistan back up from the ground, rebuilding bridges and roads, training police, building schools, things like that. So I saw what worked, I saw what didn't work, I saw some things I could follow. Then all of a sudden, somebody named Donald Trump was elected. I think he's making us all crazy. But in the military, I was leading people who are far right and far left, from all walks of life, from every type of ethnicity and everywhere in the world you can ever see. And we with my leadership, I got things done. We worked together. We made things happen. And now it seems like we're so partisan, we're on the opposite sides of a coin. We have nothing in common. So I said, Donald Trump's not going to be my boss. I'm going to get out of the military. I know where I'm needed. I'm needed in public service. So I'm going to run. I'm going to do whatever I can to help my community. So I decided to run. And Bob Marshall is just like Donald Trump. They're 2 peas, same pie. They're exactly alike. They're super partisans. They don't want to get anything done that is good for all Virginians. And they want to focus on these, taking people's personal freedoms away, and on these tiny little fringe topics instead of helping our community. So with that, I'm here today, and I hope you'll give my vote on June 13th. And any one of these guys I know, we are all great candidates, so support somebody, and let's work together to get rid of Bob Marshall. Thank you.
Yeah.
As progressives, we care about people, but we especially care about people in pain and people that are suffering. Well, today there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of worrying, and a lot of bullying that's going on. I've spent my life and my career standing up to bullies, representing victims that maybe couldn't have a voice for themselves inside the courtroom. I've stood up for communities that have been ridden with crime and problems. As a prosecutor, I was on call 24/7. I responded to homicide scenes and non-fatal shootings. I investigated and vertically prosecuted the most complicated cases. I've seen the travesty and the devastation that gun violence does to a community, to a family. As a prosecutor, I also worked to stop the school-to-prison pipeline. I would go back if a juvenile was locked up or in trouble with the police, and I'd talk to that youth. I tell them they're heading in 2 directions. You're either going to prison or the grave. And so I'm going to contact your parents. We're going to sit down. We're going to figure out how we can divert you from going down these 2 paths. It was those real life experiences that really propelled me to the national stage then, to work as the director for the National Center of Community Prosecution, where I taught Commonwealth attorneys and prosecutors from Anchorage, Alaska to Norfolk, Virginia here, how to better engage communities, giving them a voice in their own public safety, how to work with the business community, how to work with faith-based leaders to create better and safer neighborhoods. I then became the director of a nonpartisan group called Prosecutors Against Gun Violence. With the Manhattan DA and the LA City prosecutor, we formed this group to reduce the gun violence and public health crisis in this country. And I just want to thank Brian and Atif and everybody for hosting this debate on a very special day. So June 2nd is actually National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And there's a campaign, which is why I'm wearing an orange tie, called Wear Orange today. And the reason for that is because of friends of a 15-year-old girl, Miss Pendleton. She was shot to death in Chicago. And her friends decided that they would do something about it, do something about her loss. This was the little girl that was at President Barack Obama's inaugural ball, and she danced for him, and then went back to Chicago and was killed on a playground. And so her friends picked the color orange because hunters wear this to protect themselves in the woods. And orange has now become the national color for gun violence safety in this country. Thank you.
They like the orange tie, like the orange shirt, so it's like you have a little bit orange and different things. Miss Jerome, you're next.
I'll use the mics just because I'm a heavy metal vocalist away from politics. So my name is Danica Jerome. I am a lifelong Manassas resident, proudly a lifelong Manassas resident, and I was your local reporter here for the Gainesville Times and the Prince William Times for 9 years, from 2006 to 2015, and I authored more than 2,500 news stories about the greater Prince William County area during that time. I was there when Jeanette Rischel kicked off her first campaign for the House of Delegates at her house, June 24th, 2006. I was there when Brian Pace was debating Bob Fitzsimmons, when Bob Fitzsimmons was defending Delegate Marshall's now unconstitutional amendment bearing his ability and my ability to ever marry the consenting adults of our choosing. And I was there interviewing Atif Carney as his first interview when he kicked off his 2013 campaign, and I am the only candidate in this race who has voted for the last 6 Democratic nominees to take on Delegate Marshall, including Atif, and including Don Shaw, and including Carl Gensner, and including John Bell, and including Bruce Ramel in both of his campaigns. And by the way, when I was 17 years old, I posed in pictures with Lou Brooks, the Democratic nominee in 2001, because even 16 years ago, I was dedicated to beating Delegate Bob Marshall. No joke. Meanwhile, my platform is focused on our hyper-local issues that we have here, because I'm focused on building up our infrastructure. That includes fixing Route 28. Who here has been stuck on 28 before? Who here was stuck on the way over here? I'm focused on bringing high-paying jobs to Innovation Park. I'm focused on finding a cost-effective way to extend the VRE out westward from the Broad Run station at Manassas Park out to Innovation Park, because we lost the FBI headquarters because we didn't have mass rail connecting out there. And by the way, transportation is a progressive value. Transportation is a discrimination issue. If it is done to divide communities, we have to have it. And by the way, I am also fervently in support of raising teacher pay and raising faculty pay so it is not the lowest in Northern Virginia. Prince William County has the 2nd highest population in the state, lowest teacher pay in Northern Virginia. I'm focused on these quality of life issues because Delegate Bob Marshall is not. Delegate Bob Marshall right now, as I'm speaking, is preparing out in Gainesville to conduct a town hall about gender identity in which he invited, and the host invited, no transgender people to speak. This is directly related to student safety in Prince William County schools. And can my base in the back please stand up and just wave for a second? When Delegate Marshall discriminates against LGBT kids, these are the kids he's going after. When Delegate Marshall files 4 anti-LGBT bills this year, 2 anti-LGBT bills last year, these are his own constituents who he is singling out and stigmatizing. As a transgender woman who has been his constituent for 25 years, I've had enough of the fact that he cares more about where I use the restroom than how you get to work. It's time for us to elect a fighter who will come up against Delegate Marshall and who will bring the fight to him every single day of this campaign until he is defeated November 7th. My name is Danica Jerome. Let's go have a good time.
Hello everybody, my name is Monsemron St. Cullum. I'm a resident of Gainesville, a lifelong resident of Northern Virginia. I came from India when I was 3 years old February 22nd, 1996 at the Dulles Airport. My mom and dad are here. And I'd like to thank them, first of all, for giving me the life that they gave. For working 2 to 3 jobs at a time to make ends meet. To make sure that I have a chance to sit up here, to be the first Sikh elected to any state legislature ever in the entire United States. This is the first time that we're doing this. And we need to. More needed than any time now. With what we have, and I say what and not who purposely, and the White House, and what we have as a Speaker of the House, we are not going to get much accomplished in D.C. But let me submit to you all, politics is local. No politics is national. That is all rhetoric. What affects us, what affects our issues is local right here. To Gainesville, 66 is a big issue. 29 is a big issue. And we need to get to the airport without getting to Centerville. We need to start getting to Woodbridge without going through multiple lights. We need to start having a community where we have local high-paying jobs, we have local IT-based jobs, which is why my idea of the telecommute work project to incentivize companies to target these areas to create home-based jobs so we can get cars off the road, emissions lowered, money into local businesses, and local lunch money coming back to this district and not in Tysons, Arlington, and D.C. We need to make Gainesville, Manassas, and Manassas Park the desired place to live under a Democratic delegate and a Democratic governor come November 7th. Not under Delegate Bob Marshall and not under any of the Republican hopefuls for the governor's mansion. So I ask you today for your vote on June 13th, your vote on November 7th, for anybody who wins on this table on November 7th. Okay? That is very important. We cannot make past mistakes again. No matter who wins this primary, we have to rally around them. We have to get out the vote from every community, which is why my campaign has been focusing on expanding the Democratic electorate. We are going after those minorities who have voted Republican in the past against their own interests. And we are convincing them, and we have had a, God knows, very, very successful rate of turn on that. And I think that is where we start after 2016. We get those who are not involved till now involved to make the changes that we need made here on out. So thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it.